it is Mesha with As Long As You're Breathing, and I am so excited because I just met some new family. As you all know, we have Elizabeth Kipp here today, and I'm always giddy when Elizabeth is with me because I call her co-founder of the network, as you all know, and I would put doctor in front of her name if I had the power to do so because I just, you all know how I love Elizabeth. And so we had someone else join us today, and that is Jay. And Jay said, yeah, my sister is Elizabeth Kipp. And I said, oh, we're family then because I adopted her. So welcome, Jay. Glad to have you too. And of course, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Mesha, as always. I'm so happy to be part of the platform that you provide so many of us on social media so that we can have a voice and we can share with one another. It's a big deal, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being a part of it, because as you know, I love doing this. I love bringing the information to the people and the practitioners to the people, because the people need to know who is really out there to help them and how to get a hold of you all and all the tools that are available. And you are just so amazing and help so many people. And so every opportunity I have to let people know about you, as you know, I give away your books and then you send me more and, and so I'm constantly telling people about Elizabeth Kipp. They'll contact me and I'll help them if I can. But when it's over my head, I'll say, and here, you need to contact Elizabeth Kipp. And they'll tell me, I called your friend Elizabeth, and I'll say, good, I'm glad you did. So yes, I'm always glad to have you. Of course, I met you through the way through chronic pain. I heard you on another broadcast, and then got your book and contacted you, and you were so kind and emailed me back, and so that's how we got started. But then you have this book as well that you're in, and yes, we were already talking that this is we don't know how to do this. we're very smart ladies, but this is just over our heads. But so you were in this book as well, and there's another one of these coming out, and you're in it. And so we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about whatever you want to. But I know that it is empaths, and the fact that we have to be able to manage our contact with the ancestors. I mean, that is something that is not easy to do sometimes, especially for empathic people. But however you want to take this, whatever direction you want to go, whatever you want to try to put up there for people to see, however you want to go, Elizabeth, you just take off and I will follow you, because this is your show today.
Thanks so much. Pardon me. I would like to just say that my brother Jay, pardon me, is in like an ancillary. We do similar kinds of things. He has a business called Lemonade Mentoring. He's just coming out with a book called The 6 Pillars of Civility, which comes out in October. I'm so excited! Yay! And he does beautiful counseling. So I just want to bring that in. Just so that people are aware. And I love the name Lemonade Mentoring. What a cool, right? Lemons out of lemonade. That's cool.
I see we have someone else. Roseanne, do you want to come on screen, or do you want to stay in the studio? Do you want to come on screen, or do you want to stay in studio? Do you want to stay there? I think she wants to stay in studio, I think. We'll see. Hey, Roseanne, do you want to stay? You want to stay here with us, or you want to stay in studio? You're welcome to stay here.
I think I'm going to stay in the background for now, but I might, because I'm just listening and I'm actually working a little bit too. So
okay, all right. Well, if you want to join us, you just wave your hand. I'll keep an eye out for you. Okay,
great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye. So glad to have. We've got people back there in the studio watching, and so this is kind of like having people in the wings of like the green, So this is pretty cool. So okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So the ancestors within the first book was Reveal and Heal the Ancient Memories You Carry, and 25. I think it's so cool. This series. It's a series of 4 books. We've published the first one. The second one's coming out in October. And it's the ancestors within, I think it's like connecting to your ancient ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first book, I talked about ancestral clearing. And in the second book, I talk about empaths and ancestors. Now, I just want to say about this series, Amy Gillespie
Yes.
came to me and said, who does irogenics. She does ancestral readings in the eye.
I know,
Like, how does that
amazing.
even work?
I know, amazing. I'll have to have that done. I have
It
got
was
to have, you got to hook me up.
it was phenomenal. I was so blown away. I was like, oh my God. She totally nailed like 3 pieces in my lineage. I was like, oh my goodness, you can see that in my eye. It was awesome. So it's very powerful. So she was like, I want to bring these ancestral clearing or healing people in. And we found 25 people in the ancestral healing arts that all wanted to contribute a chapter. And so, and we've got more people now in the second book. So it's like so interesting to me that there are that many people in the ancestral healing arts that are interested in sharing their tools through writing. Not everybody likes to write. So very exciting. And everybody's got a different perspective. And so it's really something for everybody in the books.
Right.
So my chapter this time is on ancestors and empaths, and here was the thing. Amy and I were having a conversation, I think between the last book and this book, and she's like, we were talking about bringing in a practice around, well, people feel like they need protection from their ancestors, and empaths take stuff on, and I was like, oh, I can do that. I can, because I've already kind of dealt with that topic from my perspective. And so I said, great. I raised my hand. I said, I'll do that chapter.
Yay. Yeah.
So that's my chapter in this newer book is called Empaths and Ancestors: Cultivating Empathic Skills to Connect and Work with Your Ascendants. Here's the thing about empaths, right? As humans, we're all empaths.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Some of us are just more sensitive than others, but we all have that ability. It's part of the human experience. So when we're dealing with ancestral energy, maybe you don't even know who your ancestors are. You may not know who your parents were. Maybe you were a foundling, or maybe you were adopted or something like that. So you don't even know. It doesn't matter. You can still. We're still imprinted with the information from our ancestors. Sure. They're always here with us. So it's kind of like, how could we not be? Right? All the trials and tribulations from the past culminate in us, and it's not just humans. It's also animals, right? And insects. You can see the monarch butterfly. Every 5th generation, it migrates. So how does that happen, right? The imprint from its ancestor lives in the next generations, is carried on from one generation to another. In cats, the most recent research that I've come up against with the ancestral clearing stuff is this guy runs a rat lab, and he raises baby rats, and and all the baby rats, this one batch of baby rats, were hanging out in the community room one afternoon playing, and he drops a cat hair. The rat lab guy drops a cat hair down in the middle of the room, and the rats all scatter.
Yeah.
And
they've never seen a cat.
They've never met a cat. Yeah. So how does that work, right? So that's an example of an imprint from a past generation coming forward. So we're all empaths, and we have the imprints of our ancestors. So we're already connected. Right. The fact that we don't think we're connected is the mind, right? Because we're already connected in a very profound way. Yes. So when working with ancestral energies, there's kind of a process that I use, and I do ancestral clearing pretty much every day on the planet somewhere with somebody. So, and I've been doing it for 7.5 years. So I needed this, right? First, we have to get grounded in the breath. Pardon me.
Yes.
We leverage the breath, a conscious breath, to ground the body and the mind, especially the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that there is no separation between mind, body, and spirit. So what we do to one, we do to all.
Yes.
So we begin with long, slow, deep breathing, just to bring us present. And it helps us just kind of tune in. Then we want to hold space for what's happening, right? We want to hold space for our ancestors and for ourselves in the pardon me, in the moment. What does hold space mean? Holding space means really, if I'm with another person, for instance, and I'm holding space for them, I'm just providing, opening myself to provide a safe space for them to be whoever they are in the moment.
Right.
Right, without any judgment. I'm just there. Also, I'm opening my heart to compassion for them and myself in that moment. Right, there's no separation between us and another. Ultimately, so when we open ourselves, we're opening. Okay, she says something's up with the sound and she got kicked off. Can you do anything on the back end there? Maybe she needs to just step out and come back in.
That would be it. Just step out and come back in. Because I'm not getting that. And we do have somebody that's here and staying off camera.
So in developing a relationship and connecting to our ancestors, holding space allows ourselves to open to whatever experience we're having and be present without any expectation about what's going to happen. So really important to just come in as like this blank canvas, right? Then the next thing I do, I suggest, is that you bring in gratitude and humility for this beautiful connection that you're validating. You're already connected, but we're bringing the mind in and really validating that this is here, and being grateful for all they went through to get me to this point.
Yes.
Then once we've got mastered holding space, I'm just kind of looking at my chapter here, the typing of the chapter to remind me. We have to realize that where is the healing field? And the healing field is the present moment.
Yes.
Present moment. We can't
Right.
heal in the past. We can't heal in the future. We only can heal now. And so we're not just connecting, but it's very interesting from an ancestral clearing point of view. When we become present, we're accessing the quantum field.
Yes.
So we have access to the past, present, and future all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are actually able to, from an ancestral clearing point of view, we're able to, in that field, we're able to heal past hurts and wrongs.
Right. Yes.
That may have come into this lineage, that may have come into me as the person connecting, or we may actually feel their hurts and wrongs. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's important, that protection piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's important to develop deep listening skills. So, like I said, we come into this still place of holding space and being in the present moment with gratitude and humility. And then in that zone of silence, is sitting still, there's a lot of information that comes in. Again, without expectation. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just in a total receiving mode.
Right. And
then it's very interesting kind of what drops in. I put out the intention, thank you for being there for me. I'm so grateful, for everything you did to help me get to where, to make it possible for me to be where I am today. I want to connect with you. And then we just go again with the blank space. And
right.
It's very interesting what shows up. The other thing is important to remember, who am I?
Yes.
Right? am I, well, I'll just say this. I'm going to just read a little section from my chapter that kind of explains it. Gravity holds us as an embrace with an unbounded sea of stars on a giant blue globe in an endless galaxy of infinite possibilities. Though we have so much in common, we're each unique in our potential and our specific life journey, even amidst all the vastness of the universe. We are replete with stories, including those from our genetics inherited through the ancestor that made up our very flesh. Our stories make us who we are. How are these stories serving us? Are we ready to relinquish any of them to make space to usher in a whole new story of who we are, what we are about, what makes us and moves us to do and be what we are? Are we willing to commit to changing inside of us? What parts of us make us tick and continue to walk the shifting landscape of our life path? And what will we do to grow and expand? What does each of us need to unleash the whole expression of the individual we're becoming? So I'm speaking to the conditioning.
Yes.
I'm speaking to the conditioning, the old stories, the beliefs, the limit about this is the way life is, therefore I'm limited in this way. That I'm speaking to that.
Yes.
So it's also of paramount importance to be clear about who you are, right? Ask yourself, with whom am I identifying? Am I identifying with my true self, my eternal self, or am I identifying with the story of my ancestors, which I did for a long time? I identified with the story for a long time, and it was this burden that I carried. So remember who you are. An eternal soul who's not bound by time or space, is an infinite being. It is crucial that you don't get so wrapped up with your ancestor's story that you take on their unresolved burdens. And this is why I wrote the chapter. You may experience them, maybe as in worry energy, but do not make such burdens define who you are.
Yeah.
So make sure you're clear about your identity when you're working with your ancestors. You are the timeless, nested within time. Realize that you're plugged into totality, the universal intelligence, just as totality is plugged into you. Again, there's no separation.
Right.
You'll have access to all your ancestors from this space, including your original birth parents, foster or adopted parents. So really important to kind of, who am I in this moment? That is the perspective. Those things that I just listed are all really important in now not allowing yourself to take on the energy of your ancestors, which I did. I just knew the story of my family and a certain aspect of a couple of aspects of my family, and I was so reactive to those stories that I felt this weight and this burden. And it wasn't mine, but I took it on, right? I didn't know that I had done that. I just felt it. And it wasn't until later when I really got into this in the ancestral clearing work that I realized, oh, that was a choice I made. I made a choice. I wasn't, it's not like so it's really important to kind of understand who are you. And then there's the family, your family stories, your lineage. Now I have imprints from my lineage in me, and they give me resilience, and they give me maybe disease resistance, and they give me hair color and eye color, and they give me sense of humor, and they give me all kinds of things, and they give me maybe imprints from past actions that they took that they didn't resolve, and that's kind of my job. But it's not my job to carry the burden. Carry their burden. It's my job to help clear anything unresolved, and that stuff shows up as unresolved within me. So it's really an important distinction. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Oh yes, please, Jack. Yeah.
What came into me just then was the importance we all have of having an identity.
Yes.
And some of us don't like who we are, or we have issues with who we are, or who the story that we've convinced ourselves
The
of
story.
who we are.
Yes.
And so the point or the question is, as we work with ancestral energy, is just be sure not to identify with them because you don't like your own self and your own situation. Discerning between the two, I think, is the point.
Yes.
Absolutely. I actually sat with myself a few summers ago because I was so haunted, right? I sat with myself and I said, I just put it in meditation. Who am I without the story of my family? And anyone could ask the question, who am I without this story
The
of
stories.
right?
The
Whatever
stories.
the story is,
Yeah.
whatever the thing is that you're gripping onto. Because man, I'll tell you, I gripped onto it. So who am I without the story? And I felt like it was gripping me. I didn't understand that I was doing the gripping. I
Yes.
thought it was gripping me, right? So very
Right.
important distinction. And I sat with that question, and the answer was, I don't know. And that was fine. That was fine. It was like, oh, I have a now I have a clean slate to discover who I am.
Discover and create and write. Discover and write your story.
Yes, absolutely. That's how this
Right.
chapter got written.
Right. And that's how it works. Yeah. To discover, but also to create. And so that's the beauty of it. And we think we are locked into the societal expectations and the imprint and et cetera, et cetera. But as you say, we're the ones holding on to it so tightly, but we don't know. And when we wake up to that fact, that's when that's but we have to clear those things out to make space for the new story, for what we're going to create and what we're yeah. So that is the beauty of it. So, and I'm glad you chimed in, Jay. Chime in anytime. Yes. So go ahead.
So one of my teachers said recently, I thought it was so brilliant. He said, "You don't have a life. You are life.
Yeah. Yes.
Life is how you are. Your life is how you are. Life is how you are. Right? Life is how you are."
Yes.
And it's like not very many words, but very profound. Right?
Yes.
So it was a great teaching because it's kind of like, oh, Elizabeth, how are you in this moment? Right? How are you?
How are you?
Life is showing up how I am.
Yes.
So if I'm showing up with, if life is showing up with a lot of where I'm throwing a lot of judgment at stuff, well, life's going to show up differently than if I'm just sitting in gratitude. Right?
Wow.
And I'd love to hear what Jay has to say about that, because he one of the 6 pillars is gratitude.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that we also get hung up on is the importance of our story. And I think so. This is where the pillar of humility comes in. So I was glad to see that you feel humility is an important piece of this whole process, because it is. And I think that and judgment is hooked to humility. Mm-hmm. So when we're not feeling enough, we look outside of ourselves to find enough. And who knows what we're going to run into out there. But I think that that we need to, humility comes in 2 different kind of sides of the coin. You can either be looking up to someone as someone who knows more than you and is a greater person for some reason, or you can be looking at yourself as being lesser than. And it's very important for whichever one you're working or you're susceptible to at the moment is to bring it back up. So the adorations, for instance, that Liz receives from people all over the world is fine for the moment, but in reality, they're just as cool and just as enlightened as she is. They just don't happen to be tuned into the right channel at the moment. And so I think that it's really important as we look at what our stories are, is to not be too wow factored and realize that everybody else has got just as incredible stories that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where the humility factor comes in. And it helps remove the judgment that we are wont to place on things when we're just a little off balance.
Beautiful. Yeah, I often say when people say things like "you're such a light" or something like that, I'm like, yeah, and I thank you, and I'm reflecting the light in you, because we're all mirrors for each other. Right?
Which is why I have the show Every Life is a Story, is trying to make that point, trying to get everyone to see, and why I challenge people who say I couldn't be on your show, and I'll say talk, just start talking, and I'll say there you go, right there, you could be on, keep talking, there you go, right there, you could be on, and they're like, wow, I could be on your show, and I'm like, everybody could be on my show. So absolutely, we all have that in us, and it's not the same, but we all have that in us. And so and when you said that, how did you word it earlier? Because it was another Elizabeth thing that I just love. You said, we're all connected to the totality, and the totality is connected to us. And that is so true, because the totality, we need the totality for what we get from it, but we're just as valuable to it for the uniqueness that we bring to it. And so we don't have to fear being a part of the whole, because the whole needs our uniqueness as much as we need to be a part of the whole. And that is what so many people fear about collective. When we start talking in terms of collectiveness, is, well, I'm going to lose my individuality. The collectiveness needs our individuality as much as we need the collectiveness. There is no, the totality needs us as much as we need the totality. So there's nothing to fear there. That's because each story is just as valuable. And so I love that you brought that up. There is, that is amazing. Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Well, I'd also like to bring in another pillar.
Well, the pillars, yeah. I've got the book over there. I should have the book here so I can hold it up too. I need every book around me.
in terms of our place in the field of consciousness, we're all in it.
Yes.
And I feel like my work is just take responsibility for my place in it, my energy. Again, life is showing up as I am.
As you are.
Right. So,
yes.
One of the six pillars of humility is responsibility. And I'd love to hear what Jay has to say about that. I'm kind of putting him on the spot, but
well, it's a really great point. And I think Liz and I tend to think parallel all the time. So the thing about responsibility, it's connected to bystanders in a way. And most of us, unfortunately, are bystanders. We don't take the bull by the horns, so to speak. We don't we don't take an active role in our own lives. We coast through life because we have fears and worries and so forth that overwhelm us. And that's just the way we are today in society. I think one of the things is once we become aware of that, we have a choice to make. And if we decide that we want to become more active, then that's where the responsibility comes in. And what is our responsibility to ourselves? What is our responsibility to our friends and family, our community, and the world at large? And so those tend to actually all be the same thing when you boil it down. And the painful part for us is seeing that what we need to do for ourselves sometimes. It's like we've been running away from this pain for a long time, and we come to a realization that we've got to stop running. And that's when we stop being bystanders and we start taking responsibility for ourselves, and we stop having regrets for all of the stuff that's happened in our past. So I think responsibility is important, and it's mostly important because it takes us away from being bystanders and just coasting through life. We need to have a certain amount of time for coasting. We need to rest, we need to heal, we need to regenerate, we need to do all of those things. But we can't, that's not our life. That is part of our life, but the part that is that Elizabeth is addressing today is a more active part.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so responsibility, true, again, is like response ability instead of react ability. Are we responding, and are we using our ability to respond here, or are we just in reaction? Right. So another perspective on that whole concept of responsibility. And my feeling, just to kind of put it in the moment that we're in right now with COVID and all the separation that seems to be afoot in the culture, you versus me, and that versus this, and I believe that, you believe that, so this and that, that kind of stuff. At some point, we have to take responsibility for, I'm responsible for this is my viewpoint. I stand here. I try and keep my stuff flexible because I don't know everything.
Sure.
Open,
Yes.
like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about that.
Absolutely.
Right? Around X subject, right?
Yes.
So really important that we're responding. We're using our respondability and then our reaction to other people. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
One more point is, and that is to discern again what we are responsible for and what we're not responsible for. Because sometimes we're responsible for our own actions, our own words, our own decisions, our own choices, and all of that kind of stuff. And we may not like it. I mean, it may not feel good. We might think poorly of ourselves. So if we're in the responsibility mode, we may say, well, I don't really feel like being responsible for myself, but I can take on what you're responsible for because I know what's best for you and you don't. We spend an awful lot of time doing that. And it's something that we need to be aware of. We just need to be aware when we do that, when we take on other people's responsibility. There are certain zodiac signs that are like Liz and I are both Capricorns, and we're both fixers. That's what we do. Yeah. And it's inappropriate a lot of the times how we go crashing through other people's boundaries. I'll speak for myself. And here we are for breakfast, whether you like it or not. And I think it's really important to make sure that we're gonna slip into these things from time to time. And we don't need to judge ourselves as being bad people. We're being human. And we just need to be aware of when we're having a human moment that we would like to shift.
Right. We all have this, and we go through these periods in our lives too. We go through cycles of it as well, because we have awareness, and then I like to, hopefully we spiral upward. We become aware of degrees of it, and then we grow into a role, and then we have another cycle of seeing, oh, well, I'm doing it here too, and I'm doing it there, because I've just come through a cycle of it myself, because I've, we all have that where and what we fall into also is not necessarily fixing other people, but just doing as well. Well, I'm going to do all of this over here and do all of that over there. And we're so busy that we deflect from the fact that we're not really doing for ourselves what we need to be doing, and it's, well, I'm too busy to do it, or we make ourselves sick. And so then we can't do it because we've done so many other things that we've, well, my health has suffered and I can't do it now. And so we have all sorts of things we do that keep us from being responsible and doing the things that we need to do. And we don't even realize that it's to avoid the responsibility of responding, not reacting. And being reactionary is when you don't realize you're being reactionary too, you're not responsible for that until you realize it. And then once you realize it, I'll be dadgum, then you are responsible for it. You're awake to it. Then that's an awakening. That's we've come up and had another awakening, and dadgum it, I'm aware of it now. And so then we have that, you know, we want to bury our head in the sand and not be awake to it. And so, you know, we go through that. And so, but then once we're awake to it, then we have to clear the space out to then be responsible to take care of ourselves and take responsibility. And because we filled up the space with all these other either fixings or doings or whatever to deflect from the fact that we weren't to begin with. And so, yeah, so you all have made excellent points. So awesome. Yeah. And I love the Jane Elizabeth thing. You're going back and forth. You all are parallel, but yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, we have a question in the chat, I see.
Oh, okay.
She's having trouble with her mic, so I suggested that she put it in the chat. And she's like, I'll try, but it's a bit involved. So she says, Elizabeth did an ancestral clearing with me involving feast and famine. That was amazing. At the end, she mentioned there was more. I did definitely have improvements there, but I find now I'm in a delay pattern. Is it possible to have levels of clearing? Oh, for heaven's sakes, yes.
Yes.
And I think
that's
to the
levels.
spiral,
Yeah.
right? So
absolutely.
we're on this spiral, and when we come back to ourselves, we're just at a different level of consciousness than we were before, right? We're always kind of expanding our level of consciousness. So we're, oh, now I see this piece. So I'll clear. Now, also, you know, with our stuff, and I'll give an example of, I think we were just talking about judging ourselves as bad, right? So, so I'll give an example of how we would clear ancestrally for that. I would start with me, but I would go and find the root using the ancestral clearing process. Right. Oh, I did X, and I feel I'm calling myself bad, and you can feel that as weight in the body. So I would feel that probably in my solar plexus or my heart as I'm even talking about it. I'm like, ooh,
I'm feeling it
heart,
too.
Heart, solar plexus, right?
Solar plexus. I hear you talking, and my solar plexus is like, I'm like, no, let's don't feel that way.
So part of that is just dropping in, like I said, drop in, use a conscious breath, drop into the feeling state. Recognize that's a younger part of you that didn't get healed, and just be still and let yourself listen. Again, the deep listening skill. And I'm going to drop in right now and just see what's showing up around I'm bad. Oh, there it is. My younger self is hearing, you'll never amount to anything.
There you go. There you go. Haven't we all heard that one?
Yeah. Clearly haven't cleared yet, right? So but then I would, you know, thank you. And I'd allow myself to feel that, to feel the wave, right, of emotion. Then I would ask ancestral clearing, ask creator energy to come in on our behalf. And I would ask for all the times in my past and my ancestors and all their relationships, for any time anyone heard, you'll never amount to anything, or said that to anyone else, right? And everything that led up to that, and everything that emanated down in the lineage as a repercussion of that. Please help us all forgive each other. Help us all forgive ourselves, please, and thank you.
Yes.
That's how we would do that. So in a delay pattern, it's more like what's showing up for you in this moment, because it's always this moment.
Right.
It's always this moment. The origin of that feeling, it's not, oh no, you don't have to know the origin of that feeling, you know, because we don't want to bring the mind in too much. I just happen to drop in. I've been in this work for so long. I could just drop into a moment and feel what I'm feeling, and I hear a voice. That's just that. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm just noticing. And then I would use the ancestor. No, you don't have to know the origin. Go ahead, Jay.
I just was going to say that a couple of things have come up as you've been talking, and to address Rosina's question about the delay pattern. Now, mind you, I am not in the field of ancestral clearing at all. I know less about it than probably everybody else on the call. However, I do know about putting up gates. And one of the things that we do when we don't like what we're about to see, or the feeling that we're about to have is an unpleasant one, or we think it's going to be unpleasant, is we put up a gate. And so we don't have to deal with it. And so I think I find that when I'm progressing through something and I hit what I think is a delay pattern, I look at where the gates are that I put up and what excuses am I making for this this behavior to continue. And there are plenty of excuses. I mean, and I'm a master at it, but
We all
I'm
are.
also beginning to become a master at recognizing the difference between putting up a gate and something else. So I think as far as the origins of the feeling, that is really not so as important as actually allowing yourself to feel the feeling that you're feeling as perfectly
Yes.
valid. Like we
Yes.
don't sometimes give ourselves permission to feel sad. We don't give ourselves permission to feel guilty or whatever the feelings might be, or guilty isn't a feeling, but you know, there are lots of feelings that are not fun, and when we hit those, it's not always something we want to do, and so we'll put up a gate to deal with it, or we'll impose another story or another feeling or whatever. I think the process that Liz is suggesting is one of complete openness, where you just let the brain drop the stuff in. We have amazing brains. They're not designed to make us happy. They're really designed to keep us alive. But if we allow the emotions to come through and then see what they are, and then do a bit of meditation around those, clearing will, I don't know about ancestral stuff, but I know regular stuff that I deal with, it clears.
That's the thing. We have to let them go through. There's so much about, and I'm one of these. I'm always like this, or 9 times out of 10, I'm perky, bubbly, all that stuff, and but I'm not one of these false. We have to be authentic. We can't be happy and ignore that we have emotions that are not always like this, and we have to allow ourselves to feel the sad and the scary and the bad and all those. We have to allow ourselves to feel them. The key is, though, is not to get stuck in that energy. The key is to go through that energy, to let it move through us, to get it out of us. The problem is when we get stuck in it and linger in it and we hold it in our bodies, and that's where we stay. And so the key is to let it pass, is to move through it, to process it, to get through it. And so because there are so many out there now who are like, and have been for years and years, just positive thing, just stay positive, stay high vibe. Well, yes, stay that way, but don't do it inauthentically. If you just do it by ignoring the true emotions that you have, those emotions don't get dealt with, and that energy gets stuck in us, and that manifests itself as we are being inauthentic in the world. We are going to get sick. It's going to manifest in other ways. That doesn't work. And believe me, I know, I did it for years. I did it for years, trying to because I didn't know what to do with what I felt, because it wasn't okay to be anything but this. I had to be this. And so I just didn't deal with them because I had no place to deal with them. It wasn't okay to be anything but upbeat and happy and all those things. And so all the bad stuff, I didn't know what to do with it. And
how can we let Rosina in too? Rosina wants to say something. And
yes, she can come here. For all the people who are not wanting to be on camera or aren't connected, you can go straight to Facebook and you can communicate with us there. Or if you're on Facebook and you can't comment, you have to enable your streaming. You have to enable StreamYard in your stuff on Facebook. But yes, if she wants here, we can let her on.
Here she is.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I can see you when you
good.
wave. I can see you when you wave your hand, but I can only get your comments if you're enabled through StreamYard. You have to enable StreamYard.
I'm
It's
on
good.
StreamYard.
Okay, all right, okay, all
I'm
right,
on
good.
StreamYard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you just couldn't hear me because I was backstage. But
Yeah.
I wanted to say hi to Elizabeth. Hi. I don't know if you remember working with me, but yeah. So like what I was talking about, like the levels. Like I'm a somato-emotional release therapist, so I do a lot of this work. So all the stuff you're talking about, I'm like, yes, definitely. It was so. Thank you for it was an acknowledgement and a nod. Thank you. but this is like, for me, like I'm going through this big transition right now, but like I'm like teetering in the middle of this feast or famine right now. And it's like, I want to get to the other side. I'm just ready to
That's
push
the
it
layer.
to the other side. And it's like, oh my God, like I don't know what like I've been practicing disengagement. I just lost like half my stuff in the flood from the hurricane, so I had to move really fast. Like I had all this stuff happen to me where everything just got, my slate got cleaned, and I had to like on the other side of it now. So it's like I was just, the universe just pushed me into this new place. And it's wonderful. I'm loving it, but I'm still kind of getting these delays happening with certain things that I've been working on for a while now. And it's like, I just want to get to the other side. So I want
That's
to know
it.
if you had any, any insight on that for me.
We call that a slippery layer. Thank you so much for bringing that in. So the issue is not the feast or famine piece. The issue is, I want to get from here to there.
Yeah.
I want to know where you feel that. That's it. Where do you feel the frustration? Yeah. Where do you feel it in the body?
Oh, it's definitely, it's third chakra, it's throat, a lot of my throat.
Okay.
A lot going on in my throat lately, yeah. And I actually had an injury just from my apartment. I've flooded a couple of times, but to like my back, right where my heart chakra is in the back. I had a big injury there, and that affected my whole rib cage. Like I pulled all the ligaments and muscles throughout that whole space there. So there's some deaf heart is involved as well.
When you do you have a heart condition?
No.
Okay. We did the work a little differently with a heart condition. And by the way, you guys, I'm going to do an ancestor clearing here real quick for her.
Yes, absolutely.
So, so put your attention on the sensation you're feeling.
Okay.
What's the number from 0 to 10 of sensation? Back, throat, chest.
I'd say about a 7.
Okay. And just put your attention on the sensation. Relax the breath and wait for an image or memory that comes in. Don't look for it. Wait for it to come to you. First image or memory that comes in.
This is hard because I'm holding my phone. Let me put you down somewhere.
No problem. We can do this.
I don't know if you'll be able to see me, though. Is that okay?
No, that's okay. I do this over the phone all the time without seeing anybody.
All right. Okay, so I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just wait for an image or memory to come. First one that drops in as you relax the breath.
I'm seeing the color purple a lot.
Okay. What's stressful about that?
I don't know, because that's usually a very spiritual color for me. So I'm wondering why that.
Just kind of look around. You might kind of fast forward that movie or back frame it a frame or two and see if there's anything stressful around that color.
Okay. I'm seeing. I have a young girl who I connect with when I do like inner work, and she's coming forward.
Okay.
She's young. She's blonde, and she kind of represents like my inner child.
Okay.
So she's coming forward.
What's stressing her out right now?
She's always stressed out.
Okay. So, right.
She always has a piece that's stressed.
As you realize that she's stressed out, what is she saying? What is she saying? Or what are you saying to yourself?
She's just like on shaky ground, like what's going to happen to us?
Oh, good. 3 slow breaths into what's going to happen to us as your silent mantra as you take 3 super slow breaths. What's going to happen to us?
Yeah, there's no stability.
Stay with the breath. Yep, okay. I got it. Stay with the breath. Let me know when the 3 slow breaths are done.
I'm done.
Okay. What's the number 0 to 10? We were at a 6. Bigger, smaller, different?
I'm about 4.
About a 4. All right. let's just do this one more time. I think we have time for another round. And then I'll do something maybe a little bit out loud. Put your attention on the 4 that's left. Relax the breath and wait for an image or memory to come in. Don't look for it. Wait for it to come to you.
I got a bear.
As you realize it's a bear, what's stressful about that?
There's like anger, not being able.
Okay. As you realize,
yeah.
What are you saying to yourself about that in the most stressful part?
I can't express.
That's what you're saying. I can't talk.
I'm expressing, but it's not having an impact.
Okay. Nobody hears me.
Nobody hears me.
That's it. 3 slow breaths into nobody hears me. As your silent mantra, let me know when the breathing's done. Super slow breath.
Okay, I'm about like 1. I'm 1 or 2 now.
Okay, very good. Now I'm going to just share a little bit of what I did. So for Rosina, all of her ancestors and everyone on the call, we're asking higher power, please, for all the times, all hurts and wrongs ever done to us or that we did to others. Please help us all forgive each other. Help us all forgive ourselves, please, and thank you. For any time we weren't loved, supported, cherished the way we needed, times where we weren't able to love, support, and cherish others the way they needed, times we couldn't support ourselves. Please help us all forgive one another and forgive ourselves, please, and thank you. And anytime we were abandoned, we abandoned others or abandoned ourselves. Please help us all to forgive one another, and forgive ourselves for all of it, no matter what happened. And then I did another piece for her. Anytime the heart was betrayed in any way, or anyone in the lineage betrayed anyone else in their heart, and all they felt about it, and all that led up to that, and anything that emanated down in the lineage from that, please help them all to forgive and release one another, find peace with one another, and find peace with themselves, please, and thank you. So that's an example. How's that feel, Rosina?
Oh my God, so much better. Thank you so much. Very emotional.
Okay, so release.
Yeah. And that last piece at the end was like really, that was the release that, but what was I going to say? I just wanted to mention, I found it funny that my mic was not working and I couldn't be heard. Like,
that's perfect. So perfect. Yeah, that's so perfect. So
that is.
The tears that that release is old hurt coming out. So make sure to blow your nose if appropriate. That's our favorite sound in this whole practice. Anyway, so that's an example of ancestral clearing, which is my favorite way to communicate. Well, one of my favorite ways. It's a great way to kind of help clean up things that didn't get resolved in the past. And of course, I just like kind of dropping right in.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to see you again.
You too. You too.
So that's kind of the process, and which I'll review really quickly: grounding in the breath, holding a space, gratitude and humility, understanding the healing field of presence. We're accessing past, present, future all at the same time in the present moment. The power of presence really can't be underestimated. Deep listening. Remember who you are, who you're identifying with, not taking on other people's energy. Be responsible for yours. You don't have to be responsible for theirs, right? And the power of ancestral clearing. Yeah, to clear. We're not trauma therapists in this practice, but we do help people clear the burden they carry around intergenerational trauma.
Beautiful, beautiful. What I love about it is that although we didn't go through the individual part that she did, the prayer at the end, powerful, 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 just amazing. So everyone on the call, everyone that watches the video afterwards is going to benefit from that. I mean, talk about, solar plexus, heart chakra, I mean, your throat chakra. I felt it everywhere, every chakra before it was over. So
It's powerful.
amazing.
So
Powerful.
thank you for reflecting that. I just would be remiss if I didn't say that this practice, ancestor clearing, is a trademark registered practice that was pioneered by Howard Wills.
Yes.
You can find him howardwills.com. He's amazing. And further developed, trademarked, and registered by John Newton of Health Beyond Belief. Yeah. I'm just one of his trained practitioners. Right. There's only one man that teaches this stuff on the planet, and it's John. And he's my teacher. But I found the work to be so powerful. I mean, I've heard that prayer, I don't know how many times, and said it many times. I still felt it.
Oh, I know. I mean, it is like, I'm still feeling it now. I'm just like, we could just sit here in the energy now for the rest, we just sit here in the energy of it.
It's a full body hit.
It is.
Yeah. It's powerful. I mean, it's just like the energy of it is just so amazing. Yeah.
So the next book in this series is going to have a red cover. Okay. And I'm really excited about it. We've got a very interesting group of women, or they're not all women. We've got men in there too, that have some very powerful. Oh, what was her name again? Oh, yes, John Newton of Health Beyond Belief. Health Beyond Belief. Let me put it in the chat here.
Okay.
John Newton, Health Beyond Belief.
I'll put it in this one for people on StreamYard that are enabled.
And then you can come to me if you want an ancestral clearing. I'm happy to provide that for you. I just put in my email if you're interested in that.
And if you get an artist, you got the wrong place. If you
you have to put the dash in there, because ElizabethKipp.com is a photographer and a web designer, and she's amazing. But that's not what I do. So
I'm always telling people, if you get an artist, you went to the wrong Elizabeth Kipp.
Yeah. So I'm Elizabeth with a dash Kipp.com. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Mesa. It's great to spend some time with you again, Rosina. Always great to see you, Jay. And everyone else here. Thank you for coming.
It's great to have you. And Rosina, thank you. And thank you for your contribution. Yes, because you gave us a wonderful opportunity to see Elizabeth's work firsthand, which is always amazing to do. Jay, thank you. Would you like to add any final words, Jay? And tell us again about your book and what you do. Just give us a little wrap up about what you do.
Well, you're very kind. I have a book that I've been working on for quite a long time called The 6 Pillars of Civility. And the subtitle is Living a Balanced Life in a Chaotic World Through the Powers of Awareness, Humility, Compassion, Gratitude, Encouragement, and Responsibility. So that's, and it's a series of short essays that I've written over the past 12 years and edited. And I think it's a good book that will help a lot of people in a very practical way.
Awesome. Well, you're going to have to come on and talk about your book. Oh, we're going to have you on. So you'll have to have Elizabeth give you my information or look me up. I'm on Facebook. I'm easy to find. But yeah, we'll have to have you on and let you just talk about yourself. And Elizabeth can hop on over and talk with us too if she'd like. But it's very nice for you to join us today and nice to meet you.
Thank you. I think I'm easy to find on social media, and if you run across the Hollywood actor, it's not me.
I love it. If it's the artist, it's not Elizabeth, and if it's an actor, it's not Jay. I love it.
That's right.
Awesome. Again, Rosina, thank you for joining us. Thank you for those who hung out in the back of the studio. Thank those who were on Facebook. And I know it's a little confusing if you're on Facebook, if you don't enable StreamYard. I don't see you in the chat, but you can certainly see us. And so, of course, everyone's going to be able to see it. It's going to be on Facebook, and I'll run it on YouTube too. And so the recording will be there. You know what I'm going to say to you all. I want everyone to live their best and highest good. I want everyone to have the fullest, most optimal life possible. And that's why I bring the people to you that I do and connect you with them the best that I can. Because as long as we're breathing, I want us all to be living with great big capital letters. So we'll be back again soon. And of course, I'm going to twist Elizabeth's arm and have her book right away. So you all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye now.